Hello everyone, Ethersong here, and today I'm bringing you some more Harvestella information from the story, the characters, and some more information about the gameplay. So let's get right into it. First up is the story. So our story takes place on a planet where 4 giant crystals exist, known as Sea's Light. The Sea's Light govern the seasons, and all life receives their blessings. Yet catching everyone unaware, the Sea's Light starts behaving abnormally. As the seasons change, Quietus begins to visit in the interim between seasons. Quietus, the season of death. The Sea's Light glow with a strange light, emitting vast quantities of dust formed of light that threatens all life. Crops wither and people cannot even walk outside. During one particular Quietus, a traveler collapses in an isolated village, our protagonist. Upon meeting with a certain girl, a new adventure stirs. The girl pronounces, "I think I came here from the future." Her name is Arya, and she is researching the mysteries of Quietus. Thus, our protagonists and Arya take their first steps on their shared journey that will lead us to the very truth of this world. And we can see some concept art for the Spring Sea's Light. They have the normal version and also the Quietus version right there. So, and now we're going to be looking at about Harvestella itself. So Harvestella is a life simulation RPG where you can enjoy daily life, socializing, and adventuring in a fantasy world resplendent in the 4 seasons. So this is pretty common for a lot of farming simulator games. You have this balance here of the daily life, the socializing, and adventuring. So it says here that you can enjoy the slow life, grow crops to harvest or use as ingredients in cooking, raise livestock, or go fishing. So I wonder if the livestock also includes monsters and things. I don't think that's fully touched on here, but maybe we'll get some more info about that later. For the socializing, I think this is one point of interest for a lot of people. We learned that you can explore a town where cherry blossoms flutter in the air all year round. A town bustling with a bustling bar and a village with beautiful colors of the 4 seasons. In the snow-covered capital, a variety of residents are waiting to meet you. So we don't really get more information about if there's going to be romance options at all. Currently, it's looking like there may not be, but there are ways to socialize with the town and maybe perhaps get to know them better. So that's one thing that we can hope to learn more about later. And then finally, there's adventuring. So monsters will block your path in dungeons, make full use of the jobs and skills to clear the dungeon alongside your party. So this jobs part is something I don't think was fully touched upon in their release trailer, but it looks like you'll be able to change through different jobs, like classes or whatever your profession that your character can take to battle with. So that'll be interesting to learn more about as well. So time passes each day from morning to midnight. You are free to carry out daily activities, socialize, or go adventuring as you please. The seasons change every 30 days, from spring to summer, to autumn to winter, and the crops you grow will change with each season. So we have spring, summer, autumn, and winter screenshots here. And I think it's kind of interesting how they put the mechanic of the crops dying between the seasons that you sometimes see in some farming games as actually like part of the lore of the game with the quietus occurring. So it's not just the game's mechanic that's killing off the crops, it's the quietus season that kind of kills off everything between the seasons. So I wonder if that will come to a complete stop and will things remain between seasons if you can stop it in the game, or if that will always just remain as a mechanic. That'll be something we'll have to see. And finally, here's the quietus. So during quietus, a season that visits as seasons shift, crops wither, and the dust of death prevents people from walking around outside. So it seems pretty potent. You can't even go outside during it. Even our protagonist seems to have collapsed inside that season. I don't know what they were doing outside. And it seems like maybe just the person from the future has amnesia. I'm not sure if our protagonist does as well, which is a common trope for a lot of games where the protagonist has amnesia. But we'll have to see about that. And here's our protagonist that we were just talking about here. So there's 2 types you can select. And they're not really saying specific genders like male or female, just so you can choose a different type, and they both look rather androgynous. Like, it could be either or. But it's kind of neat that they're kind of going with that approach there. So you can choose between two different protagonists here, and that will be your player character. So, saved by the village doctor after having collapsed near an isolated village one day during quietus. They have lived near the village ever since. So it's going to be kind of interesting to learn more about why they collapsed and if they do have amnesia or not. We'll have to see. So next up is one of the other main characters. We have Arya here, and her occupation is a scientist. And I forgot to say the protagonist's occupation, traveler, is your occupation. So Arya is a scientist, and she says, "I think I came here from the future. A girl who traveled to the past due to some kind of accident. She ends up living with the protagonist, searching for a way to return to her own time and delving into the mysteries of quietus." Next up, we have Aesel, I believe. Occupation, Argus Brigade. "I can't turn my back on someone when they're sad, even her. A young man who lives in a town near the springs sees light. Currently a member of the Argus Brigade, he grew up in the town orphanage. Due to his straightforward and honest personality, the townspeople placed their trust in him." And finally, we have Shrika here, and her occupation is a missionary. "I can only imagine that the people of the past made the teachings because they believed in the power of the human heart. A missionary of the Sea's Light Order who worship the sea's light. She resolves various incidents as she travels from place to place. She fights with blades of light that fly through the air and are bestowed upon missionaries." So it's pretty cool. So yeah, you can see the blades of light behind her. So that seems how she battles. And she also has just a normal knife as well. One thing I have to note is I really do love the character designs. You can definitely feel that Square Enix feel to the characters in their design, and so that's something that's really going to be enjoyable in the game. Moving on from the characters, we have some more information about farming here. So in your fields, you can grow vegetables, grains, and fruits that correspond to the season. Once you've harvested your crops, you can sell them for money or use them as ingredients for cooking. So it's pretty common. You have the shipping box where you can sell them or you can keep them for cooking. So yeah, this is something you see quite often in these types of games. Next, at home, you can craft and cook items that you'll need on your adventure. The food you cook can provide myriad benefits, including restoring HP, and some recipes even grant status boosts. So you can use the cooking things you get to help you on adventuring. So this is another common thing. I don't think people who play games are familiar with this. But here we can see a look at a little bit of the home, the cooking menu, and the crafting. And for socializing, so this is another one of the main parts of the game. So you receive useful rewards by clearing quests given by townspeople, whether money or items. As you complete character stories, you can become closer to them. So it's kind of interesting. It's not just like talking to the townsfolk or giving them gifts and whatnot. You actually kind of do things for them. So they might ask you to do a quest. And it looks like there's a meter showing your closest one to them. So that'll be interesting to see what types of quests the various townfolk has and what it means to become closer to them. If there will be like, what will happen once you become like very, very close to the characters, and if there will be romance or not. From the information so far, it's not really looking like there's going to be romance options, but that will be something we'll have to keep an eye on. Next up is the Overworld. On the Overworld, there are various towns and dungeons, vibrantly depicting the 4 seasons. Expect to meet new characters in towns and fearsome enemies in dungeons. By obtaining a submarine, you'll be able to explore some parts of the ocean. So it's interesting. So you have both land and water you can traverse. And you can see in the towns that each of them have, I think, one of the sea's lights. So each town, like it says here, depicts the 4 seasons. So it was... On the Overworld, there are various towns and dungeons vibrantly depicting 4 seasons. I wonder if it's like each town is going to be a representative of one of the 4 seasons. Like if there are going to be only 4 towns, each with one of the sea's lights. or if there's going to be multiple towns and each of the towns experiences all the seasons. I'm not fully sure about the wording there, but it looks like the Seas Lights, as we saw at the beginning, there was like a Spring Seas Light and things like that. So I wonder if the town that has the Spring Seas Light is like always kind of like in a closer state to spring. That is something I'm not really sure yet, but perhaps. Yeah. And where did the protagonist fall? Did he like fall near like some village? There was like one, like the Spring Seas Light here. 4 giant crystals, and they govern the seasons. So maybe there are multiple villages and they're not completely connected to each season. Maybe they all experience all the seasons. But it's kind of interesting. You'll be able to move around the towns and also be able to go on the submarine to various areas as well. And I kind of like the overworld map they did here. It's something that's kind of JRPG-like in its appearance, and having like a boat and whatnot is interesting. And I think in the trailer, we saw some looks at the boat that was there. Next up is combat. So we have adventure combat. Overcome battles by using joint attacks with party members and switching instantly between a wide variety of jobs. That's interesting. You can switch instantly between the jobs. Okay. And you can hit the enemy's weakness to deal great amounts of damage. So I guess they have some weak points. Maybe you need to like run behind them, or need to wait for them to open up to weak to something. But it's interesting. So you can have a party, you can have party members, and you can switch instantly between a wide variety of jobs. So it's going to be interesting to learn more about how that job switching mechanic kind of works, and also how the party system works. I'm not sure if it's like kind of just a rune factory. Maybe you can like ask like somebody to join you from the town, come fight with you. We'll have to see though. And here's some more information on the jobs. So each job has a unique weapon and characteristic skills. Jobs have different attack styles, such as physical or magic. So we have the fighter, a physical attacker who can unleash swift sword techniques, can handle multiple enemies at once by using single target and range attack skills. We have the Shadow Walker, a physical attacker who deals mortal injury with twin blades, can enhance their own attacks to deal huge damage with hard-hitting skills. And finally, we have a mage, so a job that excels at long-range magical attacks. Since mages utilize multiple elements, they can deal huge damage by skillfully targeting the enemy's weakness. So I guess by weakness, I was thinking that maybe they have weak points, but maybe it's not weak points. Maybe it's more just like elemental weakness, or certain weakness to certain weapons. Like, I don't know if they have various weapons you can equip as well, but if they had like slashing weakness or like blunt damage weakness or something like that as well, that will be interesting to see. Though it looks like the Shadow Walker might be limited to the twin blades, and the fighter looks like they might be limited to sword attacks. So maybe there's not more weapon options. Maybe it's all just elemental weaknesses, and if you want to like deal damage with those weaknesses, you have to kind of switch. Or maybe there's like magic resistance, but they're like weak to physical damage and things like that. But that'll be another thing to look forward to, learning more about how they utilize the enemy weaknesses to perhaps make you switch between different jobs. If it's what they're saying here with job switching is true, perhaps having you switch between various jobs while fighting will be a key element. Like, they're weak to magic now, so you switch to that, or weak to a certain element, so you do a switch to mage. Then they perhaps become more resistant to magic, so you switch back to a like melee fighter or something like that. But that looks like just about all the information we have currently. And as we know, this will be coming for both Nintendo Switch and Steam, which is great news. So we'll be able to see a PC release as well. I'll probably get it on the PC when it comes out, so that's something I'm looking forward to. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed a look at some more information about Harvestella, and let me know what you think. Hope to see you next time, and bye!